She is a passionate philosophy professor,
fitness professional,
and motivational speaker. She helps strengthen the body, but she also helps strengthen the mind.
The mind?
The mind. For well over a decade, she has led philosophy courses within the University System of Georgia.
She leads group fitness classes in Atlanta,
as well as leading one-on-one personal training sessions. Let's all squat wisely with Kristen Hester.
That's right. I am back again with another episode just for you. Today is going to be a great episode because this episode we will speak with a woman who has a great organization, an organization that caters to babies. Now, the reason why I think this is so profound is because very often, unless it's our own children, and I don't have children, but unless it's our own children or children in our family, we very seldom stop to think about babies in general and the well-being of babies in general. So often we do, as our guests will speak on later, we are a give and get type of mentality. We give in order to gain something in return. It's rare that you see people doing random acts of kindness for strangers even. A lot of times in my classes, my philosophy classes, I will have my students do a random act of kindness. I can't do this at all of the colleges that I teach for, but for the ones where I have flexibility to create my own unique assignments, I encourage them to do something for a random stranger. It doesn't even have to have a monetary value attached to it. There are students of mine who've told me, that they like the friendly lady at Starbucks. So they, out of nowhere, they leave her a friendly letter and maybe a rose that they cut from their own garden and just let the person know that I appreciate you. I'm thinking about you. And it's great, of course, when we are adults and someone takes the time to think about us and they don't have to. But for the most part, if it never happened to us as adults, we would be, for the most part, okay. But think about a baby. Think about a very young, helpless child who can do very, very little for themselves, who can do really nothing for themselves. And think of a baby being in serious need, yet no one around to meet the need. After speaking with our guest today and you listening in on the discussion, she will encourage you to really think about whether or not you always have yourself on your mind, or do you stop and do you purpose to set aside your needs so you are better able to focus on the needs of someone else. That is the lesson that I think we will learn from our guest today. Now, you may not be in agreement with everything that she will share. And that is the beauty of living in this world. Again, as I've stated several times before, we won't always agree with each other's perspective on life. The bigger thing I want you to take away from my talk with the guest for today is the fact that she saw that there was a need and she knew that she had the means to fulfill the need. So instead of just talking about it, she purposed to create her own organization so she could do something about it. So if there's something in your life or the world around you that you're not pleased with, and you pointed out something that you see is a need, if you're able to take a step forward, and if you're able to do something within your limited power, then do what you can and purpose to do it as best you can. And maybe our guest who's up next, her example will encourage you along that path.
Jordis A1 Solutions has a fitness solution just for you. For your personal training needs, we serve clients who reside in Atlanta, Georgia, and nearby cities. We also help clients to achieve their goals online as well. To inquire, visit Jordis.com. Jordis is Jortis.
You are listening to the Squat Wisely podcast, and today we have a woman of impact, a woman of influence. She is a phenomenal daughter, a phenomenal wife, phenomenal mother, and also a very well-known Bible teacher. You are probably most familiar with her because she leads in ministry alongside her mother, Marilyn Hickey. She has founded an awesome organization called Saving Moses. That powerful woman is Sarah Bowling. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you. I really appreciate the honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, tell us all about Saving Moses. What is the motivation behind it, and how did it all come about?
Sure. Saving Moses is a humanitarian nonprofit organization I started right around 5 years ago. And I was visiting an orphanage in Ethiopia. And when I was there, I met twin newborn girls. Their names were Sarah and Ruth. And when I met them, I was completely mesmerized by them and the story behind them, because being newborns, the police had rung this orphanage, had called them up to say, hey, we found these newborns abandoned on a field. Can you take them? And the orphanage said, no, we don't take newborns. We're not organized for that. And the police told the orphanage, if you don't take them, you're our last recourse. We have to put them back on the field if you don't take them. And the orphanage was, like appalled. Oh my goodness, we'll figure it out. We're not going to abandon these babies on a field, these newborn little twin girls. We'll take them. We'll figure it out as we go. That's fine. And so when I was in this orphanage, those newborns were only a couple weeks old. Who knows how old they were, because, obviously they were abandoned. And from that moment on, I began to realize that there's no one organization devoted to 0 to 5-year-olds. There's a lot of organizations across the world that are devoted to children, and good organizations, noble, valuable, significant organizations, indisputable. But there's no one organization that scopes in tight and says, I'm going to take care of 0 to 5-year-olds. And that's what Saving Moses is. But we do it where the need is most urgent and the care is least available. So, for example, we have 6 malnutrition clinics in Angola. Angola it's a country in Africa, and it has consistently some of the world's highest infant mortality rates. We do work in Afghanistan, in rural Afghanistan, with infant immunizations, as well as healthy deliveries, baby deliveries. We do what we call night care. Night care is where we take care of the babies and toddlers of prostitutes while they work in Cambodia, as well as now Bangladesh. And we do this where, again, the care is least available. That means these babies are going to die. They have no other recourse. And a baby can't help itself. It's not going to cry out and say, hey, I'm hungry, or hey, I don't like this environment. A baby can't do that. And so we step in, and it goes back to the idea of Moses. When he was about 3 months old, his mom floated him in the Nile River, and, Pharaoh's daughter picked him up and had compassion on him. And he was only 3 months old. But when you think about all the things that Moses achieved, significant things, huge things, the founding in some respects of the nation of Israel. Are you kidding me? And all of it was hanging by a thread when he was 3 months old. And so the idea is, and Jesus said, when you do this to the least of these, you do this to me. So I think least of these can obviously mean babies and toddlers. And when I do this, and I feel very compelled about it, I feel very passionate about it, because I sense it as a genuine Jesus mission, to reach out and to be a part of genuine love, tangible expression of love, and simple. And for us in the Western world, there's a lot of lot of complexity and, what do we do with various resources? And we have choices. But for many of the babies and toddlers that I get to help, they don't have choices, and it's not complicated. It's not even remotely complicated. I was in a brothel in Bangladesh just a few months ago, about 6 months ago. And I interviewed the moms in that brothel. There's 1,700 moms in this brothel or prostitutes. And it's the largest brothel in all of Bangladesh. And 7 out of 10 of the moms told me that the baby is on the bed with her as she's working, because she doesn't have any place else for that baby to go. And so, you can say, well, that, the mom, you can do all of that stuff. But here's the thing. What about the baby? What about the immediacy of that baby night after night after night? So if you want to change something, you start at the smallest places in those smallest environments. And instead of what would be considered remedial work, repair, Saving Moses for night care, we do what I would call potentially preventative work. So it changes the mindset that there is another option, that you don't have to go into this industry, that you have choices. And so it's a pretty powerful experience. And I love doing it. Some people think it's a little controversial. I just think it's a great way to express genuine love. I mean, flat out genuine love. Because what are they going to do? It's not a transactional thing. It's not like I get to give and they give to get. None of that. It's me just being flat out, full on, generous with love and opulent and lavish. And I love that. I think that's one of the coolest opportunities in the whole world. So yeah, it's kind of exciting and fun to do.
And also, once it came to pass and it was, up and running, when did you have a knowing within yourself that I did the right thing?
Well, I think I knew from the beginning, right out of the gate. I knew there wasn't like the light switch didn't go on. I was like, oh my gosh. And I think too, it's kind of a journey, no doubt a journey. But all along, as always, has set right in my heart, largely because of what Jesus said. You do this to the least of these. You do this to me. So I'm all on board with that.
And tell our listeners a little bit about how can people, on the outside who are just now learning about this, how can we help support Saving Moses? Sure.
We got a great website and super, super fun, interactive somewhat, very informational. In a couple weeks, I'm taking a team to Cambodia. I take a team trip once a year. We get to participate and help with night care. And we obviously do a screening process, so it's just not anyone can come. There's a screening process because, we're not interested in having strange rangers on our trip.
Right.
Alternative agendas. We're here to help babies and love babies clean and purely, as well as we do a lot of, manual labor, clean and paint and, renovate stuff. We have 5 centers in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. And then, like I said, I'm just opening now in Bangladesh. So we're starting to really expand. But I take a team every year, and we're on Facebook as well. Share with your friends some of this, join and like and all this stuff. Lots of ways to participate, lots of ways to find out and see the cool things that God is doing with us. It's really fun. It's super fun.
Awesome. Well, at Squat Wisely, other than, finding out a little bit about your background, we also like to know a little bit about your health and fitness life. I know that you are a powerful and profound Bible teacher. And I was just curious, what does fitness life look like for Sarah? And when you're preparing for your teachings, do you go on walks? Do you go out in nature? Like, what inspires you to deliver those powerful messages that you deliver so often?
I like to exercise, and I've grown up exercising. I used to play basketball. I started playing basketball like in 4th and 5th grade, and I love exercise and consistently love it. I tend to, sometimes I get a little bit ups and downs with it. I'm more successful, more consistent. Sometimes I'm not. Last year, I like all kinds of exercise. After my 3rd child, my 3rd baby, I decided to get back in shape and do some triathlons. So I did a couple miniature sprint triathlons. I love those. Those were great. I love to swim. Last week, maybe it was last week or earlier this week, I swam a mile, which was awesome. Love doing that. And that's probably my favorite.